Non-routine problem solving, specifically percentage. What is non-routine problem solving? This requires some degree of creativity or originality. It do not have an immediately apparent strategy for solving them. It can be solved in multiple ways and with a variety of strategies. Now here are the steps in solving non-routine problems. The first is to understand. This is a time to think and allow yourself some time to get to know the problem. You have to read and reread. Number 2 is to plan. Decide on a plan of action. Choose a reasonable problem-solving strategy. You can have a picture diagram or a table or even a pattern of equation to begin with. Number 3 is to execute. Now that you understand the problem, then you can dig in and get to work it out. And of course, the last part is to review. Review your work and check whether your answer is reasonable enough. Here are a few examples on percentage. There were 20 more apples than pears in a basket. After 25% of the apples and 10% of the pears were sold, there were 9 more pears than apples left. How many apples were there in the basket at first? So we will use a diagram for us to be able to understand this question. First is, it says that there were 20 more apples than pears in a basket. So that means we begin with 100% of our apple and 100% of the number of our pears, and then we had 20 more apples. But after we sold out 25% of the apple, so that means from 100 minus 25, there will be 75% left. However, we have 20 more. So we get 75% of 20 would be 15. Therefore, we are left as well with 15. And your pears were sold with 10% of it. Therefore, we are left with 90. However, it says in the question that 9 more pears than apple were left. Therefore, there is a remaining part here, which is 9. Therefore, if we have this question, we have 90% of our apples of our pears and minus 75% of our apple would be actually the same with 15 plus 9, which is 24. Therefore, 90 minus 75, which is 15%, is actually 24 pieces. Now to find 1%, 1% of our apple would be 24 over 15. So therefore, to find 100% of our apple, it will be 100% will be 100 times 24 over 15, which is 160. Therefore, we began with 100%, which is 160 pieces, plus 20 more. There were 180 apples in the basket at first. Another example. Jane and Sam shared a sum of money. Jane received 45% of the money. After Sam spent 60% of his money on a tennis racket, he had 105.60 left. How much money did Jane receive? So therefore, they both started with 100% of money, but Jane received 45% of it. So we have 100% minus whatever Jane is 45. Therefore, Sam had a share of 55% of the money. Now, since Sam spent 60% of his money, which is 55% of the whole share, to a tennis racket. Therefore, we have 100% of Sam's money minus 60%, which is the racket, would be 40%. This 40% is actually represented by $105.60 because that is what is left. 100 of his total money minus 60% is 40%. Therefore, 40% is 105.6. To get 1% of 105.6 would be 105.6 divided by 40. Therefore, 100% would be 100 times 105.6 over 40. This would be $265. Therefore, 265 is what Sam actually received. Now, since we are asked for what is Jane receiving in the first place, so we get to multiply 45% of our 264. So since this is 55%, we just need to multiply 264 divided by 55 to get 1% part of the whole money times 45% because Jane received 45%. Therefore, Jane actually received $216 because 216 is 45% of 264 divided by 55. Now it's your turn. The question is, Amanda always donates 15% of her salary to charity. When her salary increased by 20%, her donation increases by $63. What is her new salary? So let's go to the question and check what are the givens. First, 15% of her salary to charity. And her salary was increased by 20%. And this increased her donation as well by $63. So therefore, her salary to begin with was 100% plus another 20%. That means her new salary is 120%. Now, since she donates 15% of her salary, therefore we take 15% of 120, which is 18%. So since we have an increase of 63 here, and we have 15% of her donation to salary charity, so we will have 18%, which is the new increase of her charity, minus the original donation, which is 15%, would be equal to 3%. This 3% is the increase, which is $63. To find again 1% of this, we need 1%. The reason being is that so that we would know what is 100% of her salary. So 1% of the 63 will be 63 divided by 3, which is $21. So this one is 1%. Therefore, 120%, which is her new salary, times the 1% of this, which is 21, would be 2,520. Therefore, her new salary is 2,520. Another example that you can work on. So the problem, there were some red, blue, and green beads in a box. 45% of beads were red, 20% of the remainder were blue, and the rest were green. If the number of green beads was 231 more than the number of blue beads, how many beads were there in the box altogether? Now we will use a diagram to solve this problem. So looking back at the question, we have 20%, 45%, and 231, which is given. 45% of beads were red. Therefore, this is 45% of the total number of beads. So for us to know the percentage of blue and green, since 100% minus 45 is 55%, 55% represents blue and green. So therefore, to find the percentage of blue, it says here that 20% of the remainder were blue. Therefore, 20 over 100 times 55, which is blue and green, is 11%. Therefore, our blue would be 11%. And of course, the remainder will be 44%, which is our green. Now, since we have 44% minus 11%, that would actually give us 33%. What is 33%? 33% represents the 231, which is more than the number of blue beads. So 33% is 231 beads. So to find 1% of this would be 231 divided by 33, which is 7 beads. So how many beads were there in the box altogether? It will be 100% of 7. That would give us 700 beads. There were 700 beads in the box altogether. I hope you have learned something and understand from our special episode from our Maths Easy series today. This is a special request from one of our subscribers. It is about non-routine word problem solving, and specifically for percentages. And before anything else, please do not forget, for those that are new to my virtual classroom, click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell for your attendance today. And before we end our episode, as always, Teacher Maria would say, please do live your life to the fullest, learn something new every day, and love one another as how our God loves us. See you next episode for Maths Easy series. Bye!